already live? Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Binance Live AMA. So, to our audience out there on Binance, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. So, today's topic is DeFi security reality check from exploits to controllable risks. So, as we know, guys, DeFi security has always been one of the hardest topics in crypto, right? And for years, the conversation was pretty much simple. The protocol gets hacked, users would lose money, and the trust would get damaged, right? That's just like the cycle of it. But recently, the discussion is actually starting to shift. So the question is no longer can DeFi avoid hacks completely? Basically, the more mature question that we should be asking is can DeFi make risk measurable, controllable, and recoverable when stress happens? So, in this conversation, guys, we'll talk about lending risks, smart contract threats, AI powered exploits, Oracle, and even liquidation system, the recovery processes, and what it means for DeFi to mature as a financial infrastructure. And alongside that, guys, we'll also discuss two important updates from AetheriumX, and that is the completion of their CertiK audit and the recent brand log upgrade. So, this basically represents, a new stage of transparency, of security, and ecosystem maturity. So, with that said, guys, let's welcome our lovely guests for tonight. Joining us today are Miss Paula, the CEO, Mr. John, the CMO, Mr. Mike, the head of AI in Americas, and Miss Anjali, the head of India. So, Paula, of course, let's start with quick introductions.
Thank you for a great introduction. So as you said, I'm Paula, I'm the CEO at AetheriumX, and I focus more on a long-term strategy here, product structure, and how we build AetheriumX into a more transparent and resilient DeFi ecosystem. Happy to be here, guys, today.
Thank you, Paula, for that. Mr. John, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Jean, the CMO at AetheriumX. I focus on communication, brand positioning, community trust, and making sure that users understand not only what we build, but also how and why we built it. So, yeah, exciting for the conversation today.
Okay, guess
Thank
it's
you,
my
John.
turn.
Yes, it's your turn, Mike. Over to you.
Hi, I'm Mike, head of AI in Americas. I'm leading the AI direction at AetheriumX, especially around the AI agents, risk systems, and how automation can improve DeFi execution and security awareness.
So it's my turn, okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Anjali Dubey, and I'm head of India at AetheriumX. I focus on India market expansion, local partnerships, and building trust in a market where DeFi potential, is huge. But education and transparency are extremely important. So yeah, I'm very excited for today's conversation.
Thank you so much, guys, for that really lovely introduction. So now let's begin with the first major update before we get into the broader market discussion. So let's start with the CertiK audit that's been completed. So Paula, AetheriumX recently completed, right, the CertiK audit. So before we discuss DeFi security more broadly, why does this milestone matter for AetheriumX?
That's a very great question. So it matters because DeFi trust cannot be built only through claims. It has to be built through verification, obviously. For AetheriumX, completing the CertiK audit is an important step because it shows that we are moving from internal confidence to external validation. So, of course, no audit means zero risk. That would be a wrong message. But an audit does mean that the system has gone through an independent security review, and that is a part of how a serious DeFi project should mature. So we said before that AetheriumX still has areas to improve. That's normal, I guess, and every real product does. But the important thing is that our project is willing to make itself more transparent, and more verifiable over time. So this audit is a part of actually that direction.
That is
Back
very
to you.
great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Cool, guys.
Okay, I
Did I
think I
lose
got
you?
disconnected. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got disconnected. Sorry for that. Once again, thank you so much, Paula, for that, for sharing that initial insights. Now, what we actually mean? I mean, this is less about saying everything is perfect, right? That's what you mean, and more about showing a process, right?
Yes, you are right. Security is a process, transparency is a process, maturity is a process. The industry sometimes treats audits like a marketing badge. We don't see it that way. We see it as a part of the foundation. If users are going to trust DeFi systems with capital, then they deserve clearer contracts, clearer risk, and third-party review of like whatever is possible.
Yeah, Paula, and if you let me talk about from the communication side, this is it's very important from the communication side because users are becoming much more selective. They no longer want to they no longer want only API numbers or just big roadmap promises. What they want is actually to know whether the system has been checked and whether the records are verifiable and whether the team is willing to disclose progress honestly. And the CertiK audit helps us communicate that AetheriumX is taking transparency very seriously, and it gives also the community something more concrete than just words.
That's a very good point, John. So I think AetheriumX also upgraded, right, the brand logo recently. So I know that some people may see that just a visual update, but I assume that there's a deeper reason behind it. So let's move forward to that. So, John, do you want to
Yeah.
add anything
Yeah.
on the logo? Yeah.
Exactly. This is very important because the logo is not just for cosmetic. A brand changes when the project itself enters a new stage. And Athram X is no longer only presenting an early ecosystem idea. We are moving towards a more mature structure. DeFi AI agent, Predict X, and ecosystem expansion, audits, and regional growth. So the brand needed to reflect that. The upgraded logo is meant to feel cleaner, more institutional, and more aligned with where we are going. Earlier crypto branding often tried to look loud, colorful and hype driven. But that's not really the direction we want. We want the brand to communicate structure, trust, intelligence, and long term execution. For users, brand design may feel secondary, but it actually reflects perception. If you want to be taken seriously as DeFi infrastructure, the product, security, messaging, and visual identity all need to point in the same direction.
Thank you, John, for that. So the log
Yeah.
update is connected to the same broader transition, right? Which is from early stage visibility to ecosystem credibility.
Exactly. It's about consistency. CertiK audit improves technical trust, better communication improves user trust. The logo upgrade improves the brand trust. These things all work together.
And I will just interrupt a bit. I would add that this is also about responsibility. If AetheriumX is building products related to DeFi participation, asset records, vouchers, AI-driven capital management, and prediction markets, then we need to look and behave like a project that understands the seriousness of financial infrastructure. So the brand has to grow with the system. Back to you.
Thank you very much, guys, for that. And with that, let us move into the core topic for today. So, once again, DeFi security used to be discussed in a very simple way, right? Just like what we mentioned from the beginning. The question that we usually ask is, was a protocol hacked or not? Or did users lose money or not? Or, all of those common questions. But recently, the conversation seems to be changing. People are now talking about lending hack loss rates, the smart contract threat models, the AI assisted exploits, the risk engines, even the oracle response, liquidation behavior, and even the post incident recovery. So maybe the more mature question is no longer, can DeFi avoid every attack? It's becoming, can DeFi make risk measurable, controllable, and recoverable? So, Paula, in regards to this, how do you see this shift?
That's a very interesting and deep question. So I think in general this is the right shift, and honestly, it's overdue. In the early stage of DeFi, people treated security as a binary label. A project was either safe or unsafe. A protocol either got hacked or didn't. Simple as that. But that's not how financial systems mature. In any financial system, risk never fully disappears. It becomes modeled, priced, limited, managed, monitored, and etc. That's the real difference between an experimental system and mature infrastructure. So if we look at traditional finance, people often say banks are safe. But historically, banking also went through fraud, liquidity crisis, collapses, confident failures, and etc. The idea that finance becomes safe because risk disappears is not true. It becomes safer because the system develops better controls, better supervision, better disclosure, better recovery mechanisms. So DeFi has to go through the same process, but faster and more transparently. So when we talk about DeFi security today, the question should not only be, did an exploit happen? The better question is, when stress happens, how does the system behave? Does LTV adjust properly? Do oracles remain reliable? Do liquidations function without creating cascading damage? Can the system recover without destroying confidence, and etc.? So that is the direction DeFi security has to move forward. I believe so.
That is great, Paula. So you're saying maturity is not the absence of incidents, but the ability to contain and recover from them.
Yes, you're right. A mature DeFi system is not one that claims nothing can ever go wrong. That's unrealistic. A mature system is one that understands where risk sits and has mechanisms to keep damage from spreading. This is especially important in lending markets. Lending protocols are very sensitive because small parameter mistakes can make large systematic problems. If collateral values move quickly, if oracle prices lag, if liquidation incentives are not strong enough, or if liquidity disappears at the wrong moment, losses can accelerate very fast. So security is not only smart contract security. That's the first layer, but it's not the whole story. You can have an audited smart contract and still have a bad market risk. You can have a clean code and still have a weak liquidation design. You can have a functioning protocol and still have a poor user expectation management. So that's why I think the next phase of DeFi security is broader. It includes smart contract audits, but also risk parameters, liquidity depth, oracle reliability, liquidation design, permission management, front-end security, user education, and incident response. So it's a lot. If we only talk about hack or no hack, we will just miss most of the real risk.
Thank you so much, Paula, for that. We totally agree with you. Those are very on point insights. But let's take it from the communication side, John. So, John, how should a project talk about this without scaring the users away?
Yeah. This is very important. I think the industry needs to become more mature in how it talks about the risk. For a long time, crypto projects were afraid that if they discussed risk clearly, users would leave. And but serious users are not scared by risk. They are scared by the hidden risk, and that's a very big difference. If a project says there is no risk, that doesn't build trust anymore. It does build the opposite. Users today are smarter. They know DeFi has smart contract risk, liquidity risk, oracle risk, and operational risk sometimes. So the question becomes whether the team is honest and organized enough to explain those risks clearly. And here for AetheriumX, this is one of the reasons the CertiK audit matters to us. But again, we should be careful. An audit is not like a magic shield. It's one important part of a risk management process. What we want to communicate is that AetheriumX is moving toward a more verifiable systems. Contracts should be reviewed. Participation records should be clearer. Voucher systems should be traceable. Permissions should be explained. And if there is a process before configuration, a user should understand why the process exists.
Thank you so much, John, for that. That's a very important point. I mean, emphasizing that audit being part of a process, not audit as marketing, right?
Yeah, correct, exactly. If a project treats audit as only like a badge, the value is limited. But if an audit is part of a broader transparency framework, it becomes much more meaningful. Users need to know what was checked and what was improved and what remains under monitoring, and how the system will evolve. And that's how DeFi becomes more credible. Also, expectation management is a big part of security. If users enter DeFi thinking it behaves like a bank deposit, that's already a problem. If they enter thinking high yield means no downside, that's also a problem. So part of security is helping users understand what type of risk they are taking. That is not just a communication, it is product responsibility.
If I can interrupt, guys, a bit. Thank you, John, for explaining.
Of
Actually,
course.
I agree with that, as you know. In DeFi, user expectations are a part of the risk layer. So if users misunderstand the product, they behave in ways that can increase risk. So they may over allocate, they may ignore liquidity, they may assume instant exit, they may not understand what happens under stress. So risk management is not only internal, it's also about aligning the user expectations with the actual system. That's why for AetheriumX, transparency is not, just a slogan. It's part of how we reduce risk. When users can see records, understand mechanisms, verify contracts, and follow audit progress, the system becomes easier to trust. Not because risk is gone, but because risk is less hidden. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much for that, Miss Paula. And I thank you, John. I mean, those are very great explanations, right, in regards with how audit should be treated. Now, Mike, let's bring AI into this. I mean, the topic around AI tools is interesting because AI can help attackers and defenders at the same time. So, Mike, how does this change DeFi security?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for asking me that. The AI can raise the speed of both sides. So meaning attackers can use the AI to scan for the contracts a bit faster than usual, right? If you ever use the AI, you're gonna know that it's much faster than a human. So they can compare the known patterns and they can generate the test case for the situations, and they will use those weak assumptions across every single protocol because they can cross-chain with the AI quite easily, right? So the attack surface becomes more active than per usual, and a weakness that might have gone unnoticed for weeks can now be discovered much faster because we can just use the AI to go through the code, find the backdoor, and so on, right? So the old model, audit once, deploy, and relax, is no longer just enough. We got to be vigilant if something happens. But AI also gives defenders a major advantage. So they can use the AI to use it for their exploits, but we can also use the AI to help us defend against those exploits, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. We can use that to monitor the on-chain behavior, and in real time it can detect abnormal behavior in the system. So we can use that to identify unusual borrowing patterns, something that is like unhuman-like, moving too fast, the position is too big, for example. You can know immediately that that's not a human doing those things, right? So just using that, the mechanisms, we can use the AI to flag certain abnormalities, and this is where I think DeFi is gonna be heading towards continuous risk monitoring and not just one-time security checks. So at AetheriumX, when we talk about AI and DeFi, we don't only mean AI helping users chase yield, right? That's kind of too simplified. So that would be what AI should. That's why AI should also become a part of the risk engine as a whole. A good risk engine should understand the whole market state, and we should be able to observe liquidity as it comes. Also, the exposure should be monitored accordingly, and it should be noticed when strategy becomes too crowded or when the pool becomes too fragile. So AI is going to become quite useful in the DeFi security field in the future.
Got that, Mike. That's a good explanation. So, AI security is not just a code review, it's a live risk awareness, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So smart contract review is one part, but DeFi risk is dynamic. We cannot say the conditions are going to be the same every single second or minute. So as liquidity keeps moving, the prices are going to move, the users are going to move, everything is going to keep changing. So if the system only looks safe at deployment, then that's probably not a mature way to handle things. So AI can help with some dynamic layers that we can use for the markets. So what do I mean by that? If we have lending markets, for example, a protocol that we like to use at AetheriumX, an AI risk engine can monitor that whether collateral volatility is increasing, whether liquidation is weakening, whether a certain asset's liquidity is becoming too thin, or whether the oracle dependence is creating stress. But it doesn't mean AI makes all the decisions automatically, right? We still have to go through the vetting process. It can make the surface risk be noticeable a bit earlier, faster, and we can get things done more consistently and with higher efficacy.
I will jump into this actually. Thank you, Mike. What you mentioned actually is a major part of where we see AetheriumX is going. We want DeFi to become more intelligent, but intelligence cannot only mean better returns. It must also mean better risk control. if AI helps allocate capital but ignores downside risk, it's not intelligence. It's just acceleration. The real value is when AI can help balance opportunity and exposure. It can help users and protocols understand not only where yield exists, but also where fragility is building. That's why I think the future of DeFi security will be much more quantitative. Projects will increasingly talk about loss rate, recovery time, risk exposure, liquidity stress, liquidation efficiency, and user impact, and etc. That is a healthier conversation than only asking whether something got hacked. So back to you, Caitlin.
Wow, guys. So this is a very different way to think about DeFi safety, to be honest. I mean, instead of saying safe or unsafe, we ask how well the system controls damage.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and that is how real finance infrastructure matures. For example, if there is an incident, the key question should be how large was the affected area? Was the damage contained? Did risk parameters responded? Were users informed quickly? And etc. And what did they learn from all of this? Because you have to learn from a lesson. That is how you measure maturity. So no serious financial system is judged only by whether it has ever had an incident. It is judged by how it prepare, responds, and improve. I mean, we can learn from communication level when we see something happening in exchanges and etc. So Jean-Claude, I think you have to add something here.
Yeah. I want to add, from a brand perspective, this is also where transparency becomes a long-term advantage. Projects that pretend the risk does not exist may look stronger in the short term, but on the longer term, they lose trust when something happens. And projects that communicate honestly may grow more slowly, but their users understand the system better, and that's the kind of trust AetheriumX wants to build.
That's amazing, guys. Thank you so much for that. So, if we summarize this part, DeFi security is moving from absolute claims to measurable resilience.
Yes, exactly. Measurable resilience is the phrase I would use. Thank you. The future of DeFi security is not nothing will ever happen. It is, we know the risk, we monitor them, we limit exposure, we recover quickly, and we keep improving. And we know it will happen. So that is the standard the industry should move forward. We need to be prepared.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you so much, guys, for that. But Mike, let's bring you in once again, because one of the newer concerns is that AI tools may expand smart contract threats, right? I mean, attackers can analyze contracts faster, they can generate exploit ideas faster, and even scan for weaknesses at scale. So, Mike, how does AetheriumX think about AI in this security context?
Uh, maybe you guys know what is vibe coding. I think you probably heard the term before. Right? So a lot of the people nowadays they like to vibe code, and they will analyze the code quite easily. Like you can use Claude, you can use Grok, even ChatGPT. I wouldn't recommend ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not the best for coding, but you can. So they can use that to analyze the code, and it can increase their chance of breaking the code in a way, right? So the surface attacks can be more dynamic, and the old model of audit once and relax is not going to be sufficient, because people can access those tools that just like a couple of years ago were not available to anyone, right? So now we can also use the vibe coding that people like to phrase to better the app defenses, and in that way you can literally plug all of the gaps that are probably left in the code just from using the AI. So it's easier to exploit, but also easier to fix those things that caused a lot of damage in the past. So the question is not going to be whether AI can make DeFi safer or more dangerous. It's going to do both, depending on who's going to use that. If someone with malicious intent is going to use that, then probably they're going to do bad stuff. If someone that is using it for good stuff, then probably it's going to be for betterment of things, right? So we cannot just like explain this in simple terms. It's kind of hard to make it black and white. There's a lot of nuances to AI in DeFi industry. So at AetheriumX, we think AI should become eventually part of the risk engine, not just an analytics feature. So it should observe market state, liquidity conditions, user exposure, and potential stress signals. So it should help identify when risk is building before it becomes visible to the average user as a whole. Okay, that's my 2 cents on the topic.
Got that, Mike. Thank you so much for that insight. So, what you mean is AI should not only help users to chase yield, but it should help the system to understand danger, right? That's what it means.
Yeah, you should utilize the AI for a couple of different things, not just yield farming. As some people like to say. If we have AI utilized for different specters of the ecosystems, then we can use that AI to weather any downside DeFi conditions that may arise in the future. So there's a lot of questions. What might happen if there's like a black swan event? For example, I think everyone knows what happened 10/10 last year with the Binance and everything. That would be like an example of a black swan when millions of people got liquidated. So AI can prevent that, but back then we didn't have like a lot of tools that can prevent that, unfortunately. So a lot of people did lose money with the black swan on 10/10. So those are the questions that the AI can help monitor and also answer. So yes, I do believe we can help a lot of people with our AI and DeFi monitoring.
Also, if we want AI agents to eventually help users manage capital, those agents must not only search for return, they must manage exposure. So this is one of the reasons DeFi is such an interesting environment for AI. On-chain data is visible, execution is traceable, and risk signals can be monitored in real time. That creates the possibility of a more intelligent financial system. But it only works if risk management is at the center.
That's amazing, guys. Thank you so much for those explanations. I think that feels like a key distinction for AetheriumX, right? AI as a risk-aware execution, not AI as hype, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so I think now we can go a little bit into the emerging markets, especially in India, and more into the user side of things. So, Anjali, let's briefly connect this to the emerging markets, especially in India, when users are still learning DeFi. Anjali, how important is security and transparency?
I would say it is extremely important, honestly. And if we talk about markets like India, users are very interested in crypto. I would say that, and DeFi as well. But they are also cautious because many people, they have seen scams. Many people, they have seen unclear products or products that come, they build the hype and they suddenly disappear with people's funds, people's trust as well. So for AetheriumX, the India strategy has to be gradual. I would say we need local education, we need trusted channels, we need clear communication and visible proof that the system is improving. And when we talk about the CertiK audit, that helps because it gives users a concrete trust signal, I would say. But beyond that, we still need to explain the products clearly. Users, they need to understand like what is verified, what risk exists, and how to interact safely. If DeFi wants to grow in emerging market, it cannot depend only on high yield. It definitely needs trust. It needs education and transparency.
That's very on point, Miss Angeli. So the message is very simple, right? Emerging market growth, it would depend on trust before scale.
Yeah, exactly. If trust is built properly, adoption can definitely be much and much healthier.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Miss Angeli, for that. And I think we guys are we're here at the closing point, and this has been a very useful conversation. I mean, we started with AetheriumX's CertiK audit completion and your brand blog upgrade, both of which it reflects the project's move towards greater transparency and maturity. Then we also discussed the bigger DeFi security shift from simply asking whether protocols get hacked to asking whether risk can be measured, contained, and recovered from. We also talked about AI expanding both attack and defense, and we also touched on why risk engines matter and why emerging markets like India need education, local trust, and verifiable security before DeFi can scale responsibly. So, Miss Paula, John, Mike, Angeli, thank you so much, guys, for joining.
Thank you too, Caitlin. Actually, every week we have a very great conversations with you, so thank you for leading this. And as always, I will wish you the happiest weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caitlin.
John? Yes, go on.
Yeah. Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, and I think security and transparency have to become part of the product story, and they're not just technical background. And it was nice having the conversation today. Thank you for hosting again.
Agreed in that. Mike?
Thank you. It was nice to be part of the conversation. Hopefully, we'll have a lot of future conversations about AI, and we can talk more about DeFi risk management and how AI is gonna change things in the future. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Mike. Miss Angeli?
Yes, thank you so much. And I think you were such a great host, and I really enjoyed the conversation with my other people here as well. So yeah, happy weekend to everybody, and thanks again for inviting us.
Thank you very much, guys, and thanks to everyone watching on Binance Live. So, guys, follow AetheriumX for more updates as we continue building a more transparent, more secure, and more intelligent DeFi ecosystem. Thank you, everyone. See you next time, and enjoy your weekend ahead. Bye bye. Thank you.